What if I told you that $850 million in silver vanished from a Deutsche bank vault, and the only explanation they gave was accounting error? Not stolen, not missing, just misaccounted. And what if I told you that explanation is physically impossible? This isn't speculation. This isn't conspiracy. This is documented, admitted, and mathematically absurd. And the silence around it tells you everything you need to know about what's actually happening in precious metals markets right now. Let's start with what they want you to believe. In 2016, Deutsche Bank reported a discrepancy in their precious metals vault holdings. The number was staggering. $850 million worth of silver that was supposed to be sitting in their London vaults simply didn't reconcile with their books. Their explanation? A multi-year accounting error. The media ran with it. Regulators nodded. The story disappeared within 48 hours. But here's what they didn't explain. Silver is not a currency. It's not a digital entry. It's a physical commodity. Each bar weighs between 25 and 35 kilograms. It has serial numbers, vault records, chain of custody documentation, insurance logs. You don't accidentally miscount $850 million of it for years. That's not an accounting error. That's either incompetence so catastrophic it would shut down any normal institution, or it's something else entirely. Let's do the math. $850 million in silver at 2016 prices would be approximately 54 million ounces. That's roughly 1,680 metric tons. To put that in perspective, that's more physical silver than most countries hold in reserve. That's the equivalent of about 600 full-sized cargo trucks. You're telling me no one noticed that sitting in a vault, or not sitting in a vault? This is where the story stops being about Deutsche Bank and starts being about the structure of the entire precious metals market. Because what most people don't understand is that modern precious metals trading operates on a fractional reserve system, just like banking. When you buy silver through most dealers, exchanges, or even ETFs, you're not buying physical metal. You're buying a claim on metal, a paper promise that somewhere in some vault that silver exists. The system depends entirely on the assumption that not everyone will ask for physical delivery at the same time. It's musical chairs with billion-dollar consequences. And Deutsche Bank is one of the largest players in the system. They're a custodian, a clearinghouse, a market maker. They don't just hold metal for themselves, they hold it for funds, for institutions, for other banks. When they say $850 million in silver was misaccounted, they're admitting they didn't know where it was, which means everyone who had claims on that metal didn't know either. But no panic occurred, no redemption crisis, no margin calls. The system just absorbed it and moved on. Why? Because revealing the real problem would collapse confidence in the entire fractional metals market. If Deutsche Bank admitted they'd been selling claims on silver they didn't actually possess, that would imply every other custodian could be doing the same. It would trigger an audit wave, a delivery demand surge, a physical squeeze that would expose just how much paper silver is floating above the actual available supply. And that cannot be allowed to happen. Let's go deeper. In that same period, Deutsche Bank was simultaneously being investigated and fined for precious metals price manipulation. Not alleged, confirmed. They paid settlements. They admitted to spoofing, to coordinating with other banks to suppress gold and silver prices during trading hours. This wasn't rogue traders. This was institutional strategy. The same bank that couldn't locate $850 million in silver was also actively manipulating the price of silver in global markets. You see the problem now? They weren't losing track of metal. They were managing a structure that was never designed to deliver metal in the first place. The pricing, the vaults, the accounting, all of it exists to maintain the illusion of liquidity in a market where physical liquidity is vastly overstated. The $850 million discrepancy wasn't a mistake. It was a leak, a crack in the narrative. And it was sealed immediately because letting it breathe would have started asking the one question the system can't afford. How much of the silver that is traded every day actually exists? Now here's where it gets interesting. The London Bullion Market Association, the LBMA, oversees precious metals vaults in London. They publish vault holding data, but that data is aggregated, anonymous. You can't trace which bars belong to which entity, you can't verify serial numbers, you can't independently audit. You're trusting a self-reported system managed by the same institutions that have already been caught manipulating prices. In the aftermath of the Deutsche Bank incident, vault reporting standards were quietly updated, but not in a way that increases transparency, in a way that increases flexibility. They redefined what counts as allocated versus unallocated metal. They allowed for more commingling of client holdings. They made it easier, not harder, to run a fractional system. Because the alternative, full transparency and full accountability, would immediately reveal that the paper market is orders of magnitude larger than the physical market. And if that becomes consensus knowledge, the entire pricing mechanism breaks. If investors, institutions, and sovereign funds simultaneously demand physical delivery, there isn't enough metal to go around. Prices wouldn't just rise, they would dislocate. We're talking about a market structure that depends on most participants never actually wanting the thing they're buying. This is not unique to silver. Gold has the same issue, but silver is worse because silver has industrial demand. It's consumed. It's used in solar panels and electronics and medical equipment and batteries. Unlike gold, which mostly just sits in vaults, silver leaves the financial system permanently every single year, which means the available above-ground supply for investment is shrinking while the paper claims on that supply keep growing. So when Deutsche Bank reports an $850 million accounting error, what they're really telling you is that the system is operating blind. They don't know where all the metal is because the metal was never the point. The point is the price. The point is control. The point is ensuring that silver and gold, the only forms of money that can't be printed, remain cheap and unattractive compared to fiat currency and government debt. And this is where incentives come in. Central banks, commercial banks, and governments benefit enormously from suppressed precious metals prices. When gold and silver are rising, it signals inflation, currency debasement, and loss of confidence in the system. When they're stable or falling, it signals that everything is fine, that the dollar is strong, that monetary policy is working. There's a direct institutional interest in making sure metals do not break out into public consciousness as a store of value. You can see this in the way media covers metals. When silver spikes, the narrative is always speculative mania, Reddit traders, conspiracy theorists. But when it drops, it's rational market behavior. When a bank gets fined for manipulation, it's a small story buried in financial sections. But when retail investors coordinate to buy physical metal, it's front-page news framed as dangerous populism. The framing is not accidental. Now, let's talk about what happens when the gap between paper and physical becomes undeniable. It's already starting. In 2020 and 2021, during the Wall Street Bet Silver movement, premiums on physical silver exploded. Dealers ran out of inventory. Mints couldn't keep up, but the paper price barely moved. Why? Because the futures market, the derivatives market, the ETF market, all continued functioning as if nothing changed. The price is not set by physical demand. It's set by leverage, by contracts, by institutions that never intend to take delivery. But that only works as long as the majority of market participants accept paper exposure as equivalent to physical ownership. The moment that perception shifts, the moment enough capital demands actual metal, the system has no choice but to either deliver or default. And default would mean admitting the whole structure was a fiction. That would destroy credibility not just in metals, but in commodity markets broadly, in clearinghouses, in the idea that financial contracts represent real underlying assets. This is why the Deutsche Bank incident matters, not because of what they admitted, but because of what they revealed by accident. That even the custodians, the institutions tasked with safeguarding physical metal, don't have full visibility into their own holdings. If Deutsche Bank doesn't know where $850 million in silver is, how confident should you be that your ETF, your pooled account, your unallocated storage actually corresponds to metal you could touch? The answer is you shouldn't be, because the system was never built for that. It was built for price suppression, for liquidity management, for ensuring that gold and silver remain financial footnotes rather than monetary alternatives. And it works perfectly as long as no one asks for delivery in size. But the cracks are widening. You're seeing it in the premiums, in the delivery delays, in the quietly increasing demand from sovereign nations and central banks in the East who are buying physical in tonnage that dwarfs Western investment demand. China, Russia, India, they're not buying paper silver. They're taking delivery. They're draining the system slowly, methodically, without causing panic. Because they understand what's coming. When confidence in fiat currencies erodes, when debt levels become unsustainable, when inflation becomes structural rather than transitory, hard assets reassert themselves. And the institutions that spent decades managing metals, prices downward will find themselves on the wrong side of physics. You can print claims, you can print contracts, you can print ETF shares, but you cannot print silver. The supply is finite. The industrial demand is growing, and the gap between what's promised and what's available is unbridgeable at current prices. Deutsche Bank's $850 million accounting error is not an isolated incident. It's a symptom, a warning light on a dashboard that no one is watching. And the fact that it was memory hold so quickly tells you how serious it actually is. Because if they acknowledge the real implications, if they let the market process what that discrepancy actually means, it would start a run, not on Deutsche Bank, on the entire fractional metal system. And here's the kicker. There's no way to fix it without repricing. You can't audit your way out of a supply deficit. You can't regulate away the fact that more claims exist than metal. The only resolution is price discovery, real price discovery. where physical metal trades at a premium so extreme that it forces paper holders to either take delivery or sell. And when that happens, when the market is forced to reconcile paper with physical, the official price will look like a joke. This isn't fear-mongering, this is just math. If the paper-to-physical ratio is even 10 to 1, which is conservative compared to some estimates, then a delivery squeeze would require a tenfold increase in price just to clear. And that's assuming the system doesn't lock up entirely. That's assuming custodians don't invoke force majeure. That's assuming governments don't step in to halt trading or redefine settlement terms, all of which are more likely than an orderly repricing. So why hasn't it happened yet? Because the majority of participants still trust the system. They trust that their ETF shares are backed. They trust that their unallocated accounts are safe. They trust that if they wanted physical delivery, they could get it. That trust is the entire foundation. And it's eroding, slowly, quietly, but inevitably. The Deutsche Bank vault discrepancy is not a historical curiosity. It's a preview, a glimpse into the operational reality of a market that trades on leverage and trust rather than physical settlement. And every time another crack appears, every time another institution gets caught manipulating prices or misreporting holdings, that trust depletes a little more. You're watching the early stages of a market structure that's going to break, not because of a crash, not because of a panic, but because the math was always impossible. Because you can't run a fractional reserve system on a commodity with inelastic supply and growing industrial demand. Physics doesn't care about financial engineering. Supply doesn't care about derivatives. And when the two collide, price is the only variable that can adjust. The people moving now, the ones stacking physical, the ones paying premiums, the ones pulling metal out of the system, they're not speculating. They're positioning. They understand that the official price is an artifact of a system that's designed to suppress, not reflect, real value. And they understand that when the system finally has to reconcile paper with physical, being early won't just be profitable. It'll be the only position that matters. The 850 million silver heist at Deutsche Bank wasn't a theft. It was an exposure, a momentary lapse in the carefully managed illusion that precious metals markets are transparent, liquid, and backed by real metal. And the speed with which it was buried tells you everything about how fragile that illusion really is. The vault was never robbed. The metal was never there. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. If Deutsche Bank, one of the largest custodians in the world, couldn't account for $850 million in silver, how much of the metal you think exists is actually real? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to know what you think the real paper to physical ratio is. This is not financial advice. This is just pattern recognition. And the pattern says the music is about to stop.